everybody. You got Anthony Brogdon on Strong Inspirations, and I got a cool guy on my channel. And he one of them PhD type dudes where he had to do the dissertation and all that stuff. So he's super smart. So I know what he's talking about. We've had some really good conversations offline, and you know, hey, I'm just happy he on here with me. Well, you know what we do on the channel? I give it to you straight, no chaser. I might put an ice cube in it if you want one, a little lemon, a little lime, a cherry, whatever it takes for you to get this Black history. And I just asked a couple questions. I let them tell the story. It's not me. And I'm so excited that these folks want to come on here so that y'all know this stuff. And let me tell you what I really want you to do is a few things. I want you to subscribe to the channel. It just let me know that you're out there. I can feel it. Every now and then I get messages talking about how much you like what we're doing on the channel and this information I give you. And it's free. You don't put no information in. All you do is hit the subscribe button. I want you to like this video in particular, because you're going to like what this man has got to tell you. He's going to enlighten you for sure. He told me just a second, he said, I got a bunch of things I got to say real quick. And we're going to let him say them. I want you to hit the notifications bell so that when the videos come up, you get notified. And it'd be something special, you to be the first one to watch it. Then you can run out and tell everybody all this good information you know. And then what I want you to do is tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself. Let the word flow. Watch this with your family. Watch this video with your family. Get your kids and your cousins and all them, and y'all sit there, cook you some popcorn and some fried chicken and all that, some Kool-Aid or whatever you drink, and watch this video because you're going to be blown away. I promise you that. And then the other two things that I want you to do, and these is on my personal tip. If you don't know, I'm a filmmaker. I got a documentary out called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. I'm talking about slaves who went to college and got their PhD. It's in my movie. I'm talking about what them racists tried to do to destroy our Black business districts. And I'm not just saying Tulsa, but how in many cities, and in particular my city, Detroit, they ran the freeway right through the district. And they didn't have to do that. They could have went another mile away and did it on purpose to destroy what we had built. And then I give you about, maybe 30, 40, 50 Black businesses from the 1800s to the 1960s in my film. You need to watch that. And one more thing, you can do one or the other or both, is read my book. It's called Black Business Book. The book I didn't tell you this. The movie got interviews with people whose family owned a business in the early 1900s. I got a cemetery, the kids of a cemetery, that the folks started the cemetery in 1915. I got the guy, this Black-owned cab company that's still operating. He said, man, them white folks wouldn't pick us up. We started our own cab company and it's still operating today. I said in my movie, the book don't have that, and it's got more facts. And I number the facts. And I check this out. If you read my book and you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. No questions asked. I figure you real smart. You know all this. So the book, the movie, they both available on Amazon. But if you want to, you can go directly to my website, businessintheblack.net, and you can order them there. And with the book, I'll autograph it for you. I'm so excited. All right, so please do that. Let me tell you something I haven't said in the last few videos. You hear me talking about this word strong. Well, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. That's strong. And I got a strong brother. He about to come on here right now. Sir, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Anthony, I want to thank you for inviting me to the show. Strong Inspiration is surely something that everybody should know about. As far as about myself, I want to make sure I clear it up. I am one of those what they call ABD. I didn't do my dissertation for my PhD, but I did finish my EDD. So I'm a dissertation away at Michigan State for my PhD study in college and university administration, just so you're aware of that.
Yeah, I love it.
Well,
now, hold on, before you do that, man, where you grow up, man? How you get to be so smart like you are, man, and be cool at the same time?
So I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in my grandmother's sister's house on Sycamore. And anybody from Grand Rapids know exactly what Sycamore is in the middle of. So
now, where they come from? Where in the South are y'all from?
Well, my father is from Homer, Louisiana. It's a little town right outside Shreveport. That's where my father's family grew up. They were Merritts. My father's father, I never had a chance to meet, and nor do I know anything about him. I have tried to do some research to try to find out who he is, where he might have moved to, but I haven't been very successful with that. I do know Homer. I got the census report, who all lived in the house of my grandfather. And so I haven't been able to go further back on my father's side, but I went back quite a ways on my grandmother's side.
Okay. Did you go back to slavery? Do you see the slave connection?
Not on that side, but on my mother's side, the Richmond, for sure. Have a lot of information on the Richmond side. And what I've been doing is just trying to connect with all of the living relatives, because each of them can spread out. And if we can all get together and put our information together, we might be able to write a book. My mother's family, and it was interesting because you had Preston Mitchell in your broadcast, and he had a little historical perspective of the children of my grandfather and grandmother, which is George and Josie Richmond. But it was interesting. He didn't have all the kids down
there. Really?
Oh yeah. He had Shannon, Albert, Ralph, TJ, Ulysses, my mother, Willie Mae, Carl, Ruby, and Lorenzo. But there was another child named Douglas, who my son was named after. And the youngest boy is named Stanley. And then there was a girl that died very early in age. So even trying to get all the information on them has been a task.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Now, so
go ahead.
So it's been very interesting. Name Richmond goes back far, but there's two other names intertwined within that, which is the Henderson and Halliburtons. And of course, one of the Richmond girls married a Halliburton, and one of the Richmond girls married a Henderson. So when we have reunions, it's the Richmond, Henderson, Halliburton reunion.
Now, so the other thing I want to ask you, and then we go to some of these stories. Grand Rapids got a rich history of some strong brothers coming out of that town. I'm hearing that, man. So what made Grand Rapids to be like that, so that all y'all brothers come out of there the way y'all are?
Well, Grand Rapids is a very conservative town. The education was very good. Of course, you know, good friend of mine, Ricky Welch. I don't know if you heard of Roy Roberts.
Oh, really?
Roy Roberts is born and raised in Grand Rapids. He was a big-time executive in General Motors.
Yeah.
Several lawyers. The school system is very good. Wasn't happy with what happened back in the 60s. And what I mean by that, we had probably 6 high schools. And what they did to not bust the white kids into the black school, they closed the black school that I graduated from South High and bust all the black students to Creston, Central, Union, and Ottawa Hills.
Okay.
4 main schools. But the educational system in Grand Rapids is very good, but they disperse the kids in what I call the neighborhood out to the other schools in the outlying district areas.
Do you know of a racial incident or some racism in Grand Rapids?
Well, of course, we had a riot.
Now, again, was that riot in the 60s or like it was in Detroit?
That riot was in the late 60s, early 70s. I think they had two of them.
Yeah, I know you said that there was a riot. Was there anybody, any one brother or sister that you remember that really was the voice for the Black community in Grand Rapids?
Well, a very good friend of mine was Judge Logan. And although Judge Logan wasn't born in Grand Rapids, he was born in Ohio, he was very influential in the action for many, many years. And Judge Logan sort of controlled, I shouldn't say controlled, but he knew what was going on at both the high level above us and the low level. And he tried to make sure things would move so that it wouldn't be a lot of, I should say, deaths or things that could be very harmful to us in the community.
My viewers, I think now, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong on this. There was a Black guy in on the Appalachian Mountains, I think, that had 1,000 acres of land.
Yep.
And he's your family member, right?
He is my great grandfather. Well, Dan was actually a slave, I think, in Virginia.
Right.
And his owner, whenever slavery ended, decided, and how it really happened, wanted Dan to have some land. And he owned this land up on the bluff in Wise County.
Right.
And I guess when he died, his daughter, he got half of it from his daughter, and the other half, I don't know if he got from the son or from the family. So he moved up on the mountain and he raised a family.
I got you.
And so that's where Dan came in. And from that, kids, grandkids, marriages, and all that, it evolved down to my generation.
Okay.
5 generations from Dan. I've never been up on the mountain, but I'm going.
I interviewed a guy who tells that story. I mean, there's books about him and his accomplishments. Dan Richmond is his name.
Yep. I guess he was, and I don't know how to say it, because at that time it must, for a Black man that owned land as much as he did, to be as successful as he was, I don't think any harm really came to him. I guess he was sort of a preacher too.
Yeah.
But very influential and did a lot on the mountain for his family. That's the thing that is so unique. He took care of his family.
Yeah, and then he sold it because it had minerals on it to the oil company or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sold it, became a very, I don't know, I haven't found out how much he sold it for, but it made him very well to do. I don't know if it made him something, but very well to do at that particular time.
So now, was he your father's or your grandfather's father, or?
No, he would have been my mother's, on my mother's side.
Okay.
Dad. Then on my grandfather's side, his dad. Then again, my grandfather's side, his dad.
Yeah,
so
there it is. Paternal. Incredible story. Yep. You have some other stories that you want to share with us.
Well, families have for years tried to find out their history. And it's been a hard struggle. Back during slavery, the slave owners kept records. And when that transformation took place and we were in the census reports, we were able to go back a certain amount of time to gather some facts and history about our relatives that we could only go back so far.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I even did the African ancestry genealogy study. My sister had said she wanted to find out what was the origin of my mom and dad, and only the male DNA can trace back to the dad's paternal origin. The maternal, my sister couldn't do it. So I did the test and actually found out that my mother had Nigerian ancestry and my father had Cameroon. So somewhere somewhere in that relationship on my mother's side, because my mother was a light skin, and my father was dark skinned, had to be some mixture somewhere. Most of her brothers and sisters were also light skinned, as my grandmother was, but George was not. George was brown skinned like you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And what's so amazing about that is how the white man would mistreat and hate black people and then sleep with a woman.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. In fact, I was telling my wife the other day, I said, I haven't quite understood how they could do the things they did and yet not realize how bad it was what they were doing.
Yes.
And yet to show no remorse. And I don't know if you've ever seen this series, The Men Who Built America.
No, I don't think so.
History Channel, The Men Who Built America. And it goes back to the Rockefellers and the coal industry and the train industry and the steel industry and the banking industry, how these men just took their wealth and controlled the world. So it's been very interesting. And as you know, we have never had the chance to have that kind of power here in the United States, which is a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And it's amazing to know how resilient black people are. And again, I'm going back to your Dan Richmond, to just come out of slavery to accomplish that. I don't know of another black guy that had 1,000 acres.
Well, I'm not quite sure what he did on the plantation, but very skillful, had to be, to build and do all the things you had to survive. There wasn't power. You had a horse, you had a wagon and some tools, and then to go up on a mountain and have the skills to do all those things necessary to survive and to raise a family.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
It's amazing. And the one thing that you come to realize is when we talk about Black history, every story's got a different slant. It ain't all one-sided. There's somehow, even through slavery, there were brothers and sisters who had some wherewithal to make the best of that situation.
Well, I do know when I was a little boy, and I was trying to relay this with my only mother's brother who's living. We went to North Carolina, and somebody on the Henderson side had a savings and loans. They started a savings and loan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was in North Carolina. And, I was a little boy then. And so I really can't remember the name, but I do remember it was on the Henderson side of the family, because we went down there for a family reunion. So I think it's up to people like us, and especially me, because I'm going to spend as much time as I can gathering as much information as I can on the history and the success of the family from the clan of Richmond, because I think we've done very well. Doctors, lawyers, graduates, president of universities, to come from where we came from and still have the mind and the ability to do what we have done and to further guide our future relatives is going to be very, very important. Well, it was interesting. I do know the story, and I'm not quite sure, for some reason, I never really asked when my mother and father met, but I do know that they worked in the shipyards in Oregon. And my mother was wired, she wired ships, and my dad was a riveter.
Really?
Yeah. Now, it's interesting. I'm also the president of the Golf Association, Western States Golf Association. And we have a club in Portland, Oregon. So about 4 years ago, I'm on this golf course, and they're telling me this is the bottoms. I said, what do you mean the bottoms? Well, this is where blacks live. It's the only place they can live if you lived in Portland and worked in the shipyards. And the flood came. And when the flood came, there was no place for them to live. They had to leave. And so I remember my mother telling me she left Portland she went to Kansas City. She went from Kansas City to Washington, D.C. So the migration was always, it's I shouldn't say it's a good thing, in search of a good job. That's what we have. We don't mind work, we just want to get paid. So from Portland to Kansas City to DC, and then they moved to Grand Rapids, because I know my father started working at General Motors, again in the search of good jobs. And that's where the success came, when now you have a decent income that you can do the things you need to do for your family.
Is there a story that I have not, a question that I have not asked you, something that you had that you wanted to share with us?
Well, I think one of the stories that I like to tell is one my mother told me when she was a young girl. Even though my mother's education wasn't a high level, she graduated from high school, and she didn't graduate from high school when she was young. After she got older, she was working, she said she wanted to go back to school and graduate. And she said she could remember going to school, and there was a school maybe a half a mile away, and she had to walk 5 miles. And the 5-mile trip caused her to have to go over a river, and they didn't go to the bridge. So the families, the Black families, actually made a rope bridge across the river, so the kids could get to school and cut off 4 or 5 miles of their walk to school. And when I look at that, and I look at the things they had to do to be educated.
Everybody, that's what we do on Strong Inspirations, man, is I try to find the people that tell a story. Now, the big thing was I had interviewed another guy, and he's on the channel. Y'all can find that video. And he talked about his great, the Dan Richmond guy. And nobody really knows about him. And so what the charge now is to do, and I got one of his descendants on the channel. There's some efforts to acknowledge him even more for his accomplishments, to put a plaque up or something like that. I think that's going to happen, and they're making that move.
And what we're going to do in our, I'm having a Zoom family conference call in July. We were going to have a reunion in Las Vegas this year, but we put it off.
Yeah.
So my goal is to get as much history and facts and names on all from the Richmond straight down around the area to Henderson, Halliburton, what are their success, what have they done, what are their siblings doing, and we want to put together. And I'm going to put together some kind of book. I might not write it, but I have pictures and everything.
Man, I'm down to help. Count me in. I want to go down there because when we talk about the Appalachian Mountain, what area is that again? That's near West Virginia, I think.
Well, West Virginia is on the east side. I can remember driving down to Tennessee with my mom and dad.
Yeah.
And once you leave the main highways, you're winding your way through the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
I can remember going to where my grandfather worked in Beckley, West Virginia, in the coal mine. And we went up somehow when we left Bristol, Tennessee, Twin City, Bristol, Tennessee, and Bristol, West Virginia.
Yeah.
We went across the border and we drove straight north.
Yeah.
And we so far north, then we decided to go east. And I don't know where we were going east, but we went back up into those mountains where the coal mine was. And that's where they lived and worked, at least my grandfather George. So they were hard workers.
Strong Inspirations, this is what we do. We bring it to you straight, no chaser. It's Black history at its finest. To you, my brother, I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to being on the channel. To the viewers, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like this video. We're gonna talk more in the descriptions and of the video itself about Dan Richmond and so on and so forth. Give a little bit more on Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is probably about a 4-hour drive from Detroit, and it's Michigan's second largest city. It's a big city and it's a beautiful city. I've been up there on 1 or 2 occasions. Love the city, love the people out of Grand Rapids. And so that's what we got here on Strong Inspiration. So to you, my brother, I say this. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, because we love what you're doing. We're so happy. Everybody, we out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.